Hey everybody, Michael Santarcangelo, the Security Catalyst here, with the Office Hours recap from March 12th, 2021. Now, if you haven't joined us for Office Hours yet, please know you are invited. You don't have to be in security. You don't have to be a security leader, because when we're there, we tend to talk about security, but also business, communication, leadership, and personal development. It is a great group of people that come together, and I'm really impressed with the quality of conversation, both the freedom to share the things that we're working on, both our successes and our challenges, as well as the willingness to help each other. It's been really remarkable, and I hope you get the chance to join us. We do it most every Friday at noon, and you can learn more at securitycatalyst.com/office hours. So here's what we explored this week. Have you ever taken a Schultz Hour? Now, it's a fantastic concept, and if you're interested, send me a note. I'll send you some of the details and links on it. But basically, it boils down to giving yourself an hour almost every week to just be. There's some structural things you can do, but basically, you get rid of the technology. You get rid of the distractions. If you're in an office, you close the door. It could be the type of thing where you take off your shoes and roll your socks into a ball and put your toes in the carpet. You could be outside, but it's time without distraction. Time to just think, time to just be, and it's incredibly powerful. That led us to this great conversation about sensing the world of clutter around us. We got talking about using things like blue light blocking glasses and noise canceling headphones, and we got talking about visual clutter, visual distraction, auditory clutter, auditory distraction, and the whole bunch of it. It was a remarkable conversation, and I learned a lot about how I can even be more effective, and I think we'll see more of this as we go forward. So it led us back to the question that started the week. How are you investing in yourself? And I was excited because a lot of people were doing things like taking training courses or investing in series, reading books, and applying what they were learning, or just taking time off, time to go pursue hobbies or time to read fiction or things like that. But we also acknowledge that there's a challenge of time, especially if you're trying to be good for the business or the organization that you're part of, and a good parent, and take care of yourself. Where do you find a time? Which let a really cool question pop up. And the question started as, how are you keeping up with everything in the industry? How are you making this make sense? How are you managing? Because, gosh, there's just so much happening. Now, I think this applies to any industry. And that quickly got twisted to, do you need to keep up with the industry? Do you need to keep up with the news every day? Or is that maybe not the best use of your time, right? But we've been talking about clutter. We've been talking about distractions. We've been talking about focus. We've been talking about investment. And we came away with this really simplistic understanding that no, you don't need to know everything, because what you need to know is what to ask and where to look. That's a much more powerful thing. So yes, you need to be good and competent at what you're working on. And maybe that does mean you need to be a little bit broader. Obviously, that would be the exception. But if you're good at a particular part of the industry, then the best thing is to be really good at that part, but also able to be conversational about other things by knowing what to ask, knowing where to look, how to synthesize the information, and to be willing to say, I don't know, but I can go ask. I can find out. I'm happy to explore it. And I've found that that's been remarkably powerful. It's almost like a superhuman power if you can really be comfortable with it. So then we said, well, how do you balance between collecting ideas and doing things, right? It's almost like we get into this habit of, well, I've asked a lot of good questions, and so now I have a lot of answers. I've been to a lot of meetings. I've talked to a lot of people. Yeah, but at some point, don't you have to do things or get things done? We had this great conversation about adjacent learning, adjacent fields. And one of the folks, part of Office Hours, is a mathematician by training. And we talked about Markov chains and Euler methods and all sorts of really cool stuff that help us try to understand that, which kind of leads us to this idea that, the quote was, IDE cables are cheap. We got talking about ridding ourselves of clutter. Part of the idea here is, of course, is that if you're surrounded by clutter, look for ways to reduce the clutter that works in our houses. Anytime I've talked to someone who recently cleaned up a room, cleaned up a basement, cleaned out a storage locker, you feel good. You feel lighter. You get energized by having less stuff, less clutter. also works with digital clutter. And so one of the members of the office hours said, "Hey, I just got rid of a box of cables and have been 10 years old. And of course, the week later I needed the IDE cable." And the comment was, yeah, IDE cables are cheap. Like, it's cheaper to get rid of it and replace it. I get it. That speaks of consumerism. But the point is, sometimes storing things is more expensive to us than letting them go. That could be ideas, that could be emotions, that could be physical stuff. And it's a really important thing to think about, especially as we're trying to focus on the stuff that matters and matters most. So it was another great week. Tons of stuff, tons of great conversations. I do hope you join us. You can bring your problems to me. We do it Fridays, noon Eastern, securitycatalyst.com, office hours. Hopefully I'll see you Friday. If not, I'll be back with an update real soon.